Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your English class again. We are going to start. Today we have the topic about vocabulary, okay? And let's start with the vocabulary of sports. You will find there vocabulary letter A, sports, archery, baseball, basketball, cycling, football, ice hockey, judo, running, swimming, and tennis, okay? Now we have a question. What's your favorite sport to watch? Or what's your favorite sport to play? Yes? Think and you will answer in the class. We have vocabulary letter B also. Sports people, cyclist, player, runner, and swimmer. So think about your answers and share in the class. Now let's start with a past simple of the verb to be. Do you remember the verb to be in present? Yes? Let's start. You know me the present. Am, is, and are. Right? Do you remember the verb to be in present? Now, see how I am in the past. Was again, and were. What is the difference? We will check right now. For I, he, she, and it, yes, remember that he, she, and it is the third person, we will use was, okay? And for you, we, and they, remember that you, we, and they are in plural, we will use were. Okay, so in singular we will use was, and in plural we will use were. Now let's see some examples. Past simple. Let's start with affirmative form. For example, I was a player, okay? In present, I will say, I am a player, right? But in past, we will say, I was a player. Another example, you were a runner. Next, third person, he was a player, she was a singer, and it was a cat. In plural, remember that we is plural, we were doctors. You were doctors. And they were doctors. Okay? Remember, affirmative form was and were. Okay? Now, in negative, let's check the negative form. Negative. I was not, or I wasn't. You were not, or you weren't. Same way in the third person. He was not. What's the contraction? The short form. He wasn't. Yes. She was not. She wasn't. And it was not. It wasn't. Now, remember now in plural. We were not or we weren't. You were not or you weren't. And to finish, we were not and they weren't. Okay? Remember that was not negative. What's the contraction? The short form is wasn't. Were not, the contraction or the short form is weren't. Okay? So we already checked affirmative and negative. Now let's check interrogative or question form too. Yes? Interrogative form. Was I a player? Yes, I'm asking myself, right? Was I a player? Were you a runner? Yes. In interrogative form, we will start with the verb to be in past. Yes? Verb to be in past was the subject, I, And I'll complement a player. Same structure for all the sentences. And in plural, were we doctors? Were you doctors? Or were they doctors? Now, the answers. Let's check the answers, okay? For example, if I say in interrogative, was I a player? I'm asking, right? So when I ask a question, of course, I have to say my answer. Was I a player? Yes, I was. Yes. Were you a runner? Yes, you were. Was he a player? Yes, he was. Was she a singer? Yes, she was. Was it a cat? Yes, it was. Were we doctors? Remember that this part is in plural. Yes, we were. Were you doctors? Yes, you were. And were they doctors? Yes, they were. Yes? Remember that if you ask a question, of course, you have to say your answer. Okay, let's check the affirmative answer. And let's check the negative too, of course. In affirmative, we will say, yes, I was. In negative, we will say, no, I wasn't. Yes, if my answer is positive or affirmative, yes, I was. If my answer is negative, no, I wasn't. Okay? Same way for all the sentences, for all the questions. Okay? Were you a runner? Yes, you were. Or negative, no, you weren't. Third person, was he a player? Yes, he was. Or negative, no, he wasn't. And in plural, were we doctors or were you doctors? Yes, we were. No, we weren't. Same way. Affirmative, yes, you were. Negative, no, you weren't. Okay? So remember, the past of the verb to be is was and were. What's the difference? The difference is that was we use in singular form, right? And were in plural. Okay? So please review the grammar and we will say more examples in the class. Okay? Thank you very much. Goodbye.